The Frost Control Systems are building kind of manufacturing, installing sensors and road temperature monitoring devices to allow cities to safely reduce the amount of salt they're placing. So it's a new tech and has been here for how many months you guys have been here?
We've been in South Bend for about 6-7 months now.
Okay, and I have the founder Brad Tenner with me. And hi Brad, good to see you. And if you can tell a little bit of your story, that what made you start this program and why are you into this, that'll be awesome.
So my name's Brad. I started this in South Bend by really working with the city, seeing what was the problems and working with them to see, okay, de-icing is a problem. I reached out to a lot of the local cities, found out what they were doing, and they really came and said, you need road temperature. There's a lot of technologies out there, we're using a few, but you have to have this. And so a lot of the sensors that were out on the market were just way too expensive, $20,000 each sometimes installed. And so that's where we came in, is we removed a lot of the heavy infrastructure, the engineering improvements on the device itself, and we got that cost down to closer to $4,000. And so at that cost, it's finally cost effective for cities. They can build it out, save hundreds of thousands a year on salt, reduce the environmental impact, but most importantly, increase the safety of drivers.
On me PBC, and they're in the personal data privacy category of the market and doing some incredible work. I have with me James Willett, who is the data director of the product market strategy. Hi James.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. OneMe is a trust platform that empowers organizations and the people they serve. And when we look at product market fit right now, we find it mostly in the HR, PEO space, where there's a single point of contact. As companies grapple with things like the General Data Protection Regulation out of the EU, it makes sense to look at your data as an asset versus data privacy as an expense. And so we try to help companies see that fits, and looking at it in a way that they can take advantage of their data privacy policies and how they approach it, and what can you use with consent-based data to get more ROI out of your expense versus just being back to square one and having regulation compliancy.
So this one is Neopanda, a very interesting startup for the emerging markets. It does some amazing things in healthcare for newborn kids, and it's a social enterprise dedicated to advancing newborn health in low-resource settings through innovative technology solutions. And I have with me founder Sona Shah. And Sona, I'd like to introduce you to our community and talk a little bit about what you're doing and what made you come here.
We created Neopanda in graduate school when my co-founder and I were pursuing our master's in biomedical engineering a few years ago. And we had the unique opportunity to travel out to Uganda and understand what the needs and conditions were in the hospitals. And as biomedical engineers, we were naturally drawn to a lot of the different problems that were there. And there were two things that were really evident to us. The first was that there was such a scarcity of medical equipment that existed in these hospitals. And after really interviewing the nurses, we found that it was because they just didn't have appropriately designed medical equipment, and it was too difficult to maintain. The second was that this had a really detrimental effect on the vulnerable patients in the ward. In particular, we spent a lot of time in newborn wards and found that there are so many critically ill newborns and really not enough nurses to help care for them. So that's why we used our biomedical engineering backgrounds to come up with a technology that helps identify babies that are actually in distress so nurses can give them more timely and appropriate treatment. So that leads to our first product, which is a wearable vital signs monitor that continuously measures 4 different vital signs, all in this small wearable device. The vital signs from multiple newborns wirelessly connect to a single tablet, so a nurse can efficiently view the health status of all of the babies in the room just by looking at one screen. And of course, if any of the vitals go outside of a healthy range, a nurse is immediately alerted so she knows where to direct her attention most efficiently.
Thank you very much.